prop.
All right, and we are live now. Mr. Thomas Wayne Riley, how are we doing this evening?
Great. How are you doing, sir?
I'm actually doing really well. This has been a great week. I'm done with the consumer side of the farm for the year. I run the farm store, and so I'm done with having customers come weekly. Now it's just what I planted a bunch of garlic this past week, and then celebrated the Marine Corps birthday, Veterans Day, and now just taking it a little bit nice and easy.
So I think I learned this week that you were a Marine.
I can neither confirm nor deny.
Okay. Well, let's celebrate the birthday anyways.
Right? No, absolutely. It was a good time. I was very thankful for that opportunity. It's one of those weird things, like should I have been there? No, probably not. Do we do a lot of stupid stuff? Yeah, absolutely. Uh, and yet, I'm grateful that I got to experience that brotherhood and idea of flexing in a warrior capacity. So,
Yeah. Well, thank you, sir.
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. How about yourself? I saw the tweet. You're enjoying fatherhood. Yep.
It has been. We got really lucky for like the first 4 months to where we slept. In the past 2 months, we are not sleeping anymore.
Okay. Yeah. He's making up for lost time.
He's making up for lost time, but his teeth are coming in, and
Yes.
he's starting to say. I don't know if he knows what he's saying, or if he's
Right.
just talking. But it's pretty cool, and it's
Okay.
great to just now I'm able to like let him walk around or crawl around, and
Yes.
we have a little jumper unit, and I play this
Right.
song, "Jump."
The one you hang
by
in the door
Van
jams
Halen.
or whatever, or is it one of those self-contained ones?
Yeah, he's like in a little thing. It's like a 4 poles, and he just bounces. And I always play Van Halen's "Jump."
Oh, okay. Yeah, right.
And he, as soon as it starts, he like looks at me and is like,
It's
"Yep,"
time to go.
or mom, and he's just like, "Let's go," and he just jumps. And by the
Good.
end, he's like, like, "Oh, I'm tired." I was like,
Okay.
"Good. This is why we put you in here so you can get tired. Thank you."
Right.
This was a prop for tonight's hitting the ceiling episode.
Yeah, well, it's a great intro into it because somehow or another. Oh, I think I might have seen you comment on the Prudentialist because I think he might have said something about, or maybe you told him you were like, "Hey, do a fishing stream or whatever," and I was like, "Oh, that's really interesting because I am not a fisherman at all. I live a half mile from the river right now, and I'm too busy. I'm never on the river." So maybe I need to change that. Maybe tonight I'll change that.
My fishing trips, which I started in earnest this summer and continued
Yes.
still, hour and 45-minute drive. Beautiful hour and 45-minute drive. I get to pass
Right.
the Galisteo Basin. I'm going past mountains. I get to go past Zorro Ranch. I don't know if you're familiar with Zorro Ranch.
No, I am not.
It's it was Epstein's New Mexico property.
Oh,
where he was. It's the largest property in New Mexico, I think, and he finagled it out of someone. He didn't buy it; he just finagled it out of someone, and he was doing some neat experiments there. But we don't got to talk about that. But I mean, you're just.
He was a hell of a math teacher. He was. Whatever.
Jettisoned his entire career being such a good math teacher, where he got caught finagling students or whatever. Yeah. Anyway, it's an hour and 40. It's a beautiful drive.
Okay.
So I always say I got to spend 3.5 hours on the river because I'm driving 3.5 hours. To and fro. Yeah.
Now, how did you even make the jump into fishing? Because you've been all over the U.S. Which what I do know is that lets you get to freshwater, that lets you get to saltwater, that lets you get to ice fishing, fly fishing, shore fishing. There's this whole variety of things, right? So have you always taken to fishing in general, or at some point did it pop off because it was saltwater, or what? What's the fishing story?
Oh, no. My father took us fishing, or me fishing, when I was probably 7 or 8. Yes. And it was the most boring thing ever. This would have been like 1995, I think, or 4. Okay. And it was the most boring thing ever. And my father also wasn't into it. My uncle took me fishing when I was 12 or 13. And that was kind of fun, but it was more just hanging out with my uncle. Yes. Not really fishing. I moved to Wisconsin in 2012. And I eventually make friends with a Frenchman. His name is Matthias. He don't care that I call his name out. And we became best friends eventually. Yes. Not 2012, but by 2015, we were like best friends. He lives on a lake in Wisconsin. I still didn't care for fishing. I just went out with him on the boat, and I watched him do it. I took pictures, and I had fun. Eventually, we started going in 2018 on annual trips. I've only missed 2 annual trips to the boundary of the UP, which is the Upper Peninsula in Wisconsin. Absolutely. There's more lakes in Wisconsin than there are in Michigan. Minnesota. Don't tell Minnesota that there are more lakes in Wisconsin. But we went up there, and we would portage. We would, put our trucks there, put the boats in, move our trucks, and then go across the lake, pick our boats up, I guess it's portage in American English. We'd portage the boats across an island, go over to the next lake, portage again, and then get to our spot. When we went to the same spot, we deviated only like one time, and it wasn't that great, except that we did hear wolves howling at night. That was really cool. But
it's unbelievable.
Yeah, I know. Instant hairs in the back of your neck raised. But
yes,
we would be there for 3 days. I would go, the first day I would go fishing with them. And I would catch one, because it's so easy, because these are so remote lakes. They'll eat anything. And it's mostly bass and crappie. They'll eat anything. So I would cast 1 or 2 times, and I would catch a fish almost every cast, and then I would be bored. So then they would drop me off, and this is when I actually started writing for the podcast. I would bring books and bring a pad of paper, because there's no service, probably is now, fortunately. But I would just write notes, and then I started writing all these notes from all these books. Anyways, and so I would just get bored after catching 2 fish.
Okay.
They would come in on Sunday. We would leave. Each of these gentlemen, 500 fish apiece.
Right.
They just couldn't get enough of it, and I just did not understand it. I did not understand it. I was like, this is not for me. The last time I went, they taught me how to fly fish. They're like, maybe you'll fly fishing more.
Yes.
It's more interactive, and you have to do more. And I was like, all right. They taught me how to fly fish. Not very well, because neither of them fly fished.
Okay.
But they taught me how to fly fish. And so after learning how to cast, I tossed it into the lake, and the second time I did that, I caught a bass, which I had to release because of Wisconsin law.
Sure. Okay.
We couldn't keep it.
Yes. Now, that's a whole. I mean, we could do a stream just on fly fishing.
Yeah.
That's all I know. Okay, so you went heavy on that. Yeah, after that second cast, you hit, and then you were game over.
It was way more exciting than just casting and I guess it's right hand with a non-fly fish. And so
what, standard rod? I don't even know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't even know what you call it either. I have no idea. I went with these guys for years and just caught 1 or 2 fish borrowing their rods.
Yes.
Because I didn't care. I didn't have my own. And they have plenty. Yep. They bring 4 to these
Yeah, what's up with so I have a fisherman uncle.
Mm-hmm.
Rod upon rod upon rod.
Mm-hmm.
They're all standard rods. Now, sometimes, in fairness to him, he loved taking the family out, and so he's got some kid size and adult size with it. So he had some of that. But even just full adult size, he had probably at least 3 dozen rods, and I've never understood that.
I have 2 fly fishing rods. I have to move this way. I have 2 fly fishing rods.
Uh-oh.
One is 6 foot and one is 9 foot.
Okay.
And so I go fly fishing here in New Mexico, and the streams are very thin, and there's trees. So the 6 foot helps, but I'll get into it in a little bit. I was taught by a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, Rambo Van Halen. But
as in that Van Halen? Okay.
Yeah. I hung out with him a couple months ago in New Mexico. But I got this small rod because I kept getting, because I don't want to get stuck behind me. And I didn't know how to, like, not get stuck behind me. But Rainbow Van Halen taught me some good stuff. So after that, I bought a 9 foot rod, actually before that, without knowing how to use it. And so now I can use like good things. So now I think when it comes to like normal fishing rods, like when you're going to a lake or something with your pals on a boat, I don't think you need 15 rods unless they're like heavier or thicker, so they won't snap when you catch 20-pound, catfish or bass or whatever.
Sure. Right.
But on a river, especially here in New Mexico, there's nothing over 18 pounds in the last 100 years.
Well, so kind of speaking of which, and I just got to get this question out of the way and then we'll move on. Have you ever been a noodling?
I lived in Oklahoma for 11 years. Yes, and I believe Oklahoma is where that originated.
No kidding.
I believe noodling is from Oklahoma. I watched a friend noodle.
Yes.
And that big old catfish pulled him under the water. Yeah. For like 2 seconds. But we were like, whoa! And then he came up with this guy. No, I've never been noodling. No. I mean, right. It's you got to go where the rivers undercut the bank, and so there are like sand caves. There are caves in there. Yes. And you go in there, and sometimes if they're real hardcore, they're like, and like go underwater and grab them. And what if you catch them?
I had a buddy about 2 decades ago from the Little Chute, Appleton area up there in Wisconsin, and big outdoorsman, fisherman, whatever, the ice fishing, the shore fishing. And somehow it came up in conversation one time that he'd been noodling. I said, oh, really? He said, yes, once. He said, I did it. I could say I did it. I don't need to do it again. I'll never do it again.
So, done.
Yeah.
No, I've only known like 2 gentlemen in Oklahoma that did it.
Yeah.
And they loved it, but I'm not, like when I was a rock climber, I would graduate to like more and more difficult stuff. I'm not interested in graduating from like rod fishing to fly fishing to noodling. That doesn't interest me in any way whatsoever. I'm done.
Midwit asked in the chat, he says, are your big rings for punching the fish in the face if they get ornery? So there you go.
Especially this one. Yeah.
Right. Leave your mark.
Yeah. Yeah. I only wear, when I fly fish, this one and my wedding ring.
Yes.
The rest.
So why? Go ahead, dig into that. Why is that? What? So what is the theory of casting when you're fly fishing? What is it you're trying to accomplish? Because it's a heavier string, yes?
Yeah, it is a lot heavier, but Rambo taught me to buy like a whole bunch of leader lines, different weighted leader lines. Because I was like, I'm going through, so I kind of like set, this is what I wear when I go to the river. And so I was buying all these leader lines and just going through them. Because every time I would need a new fly, I would cut off, with the little clippers. You have all this shit when you fly fish, and I can't even find it now. Normally when I fly fish, I can find it, but you have these pretty much like toenail clippers is essentially what they are to like clip the line.
Okay.
And so I would tie a fly on, which for the first like year I was fly fishing, I lost so many flies to fish, which sucks. Not only because you didn't catch it, but I hope that guy spits that fly. I hope he spits that hook out because damn it, I tied it and then I cast. I'm reeling him in and he gets off and I reel him in. I was like, oh, he took my fly. That means that hook is still in his freaking mouth.
Yeah.
But I think they're very good. Actually, now that I tie them very well, they're very good at spitting them out. They don't care. They don't care. They can spit it out. They'll eventually get it out.
Yes. So there's got to be, when you correct me where I'm wrong. When you cast in your fly fishing, do you want the fly to sink at all, or are you looking for those fish that are going to come to the top and are trying to catch a bug that's sitting on top of the water? Is that the idea?
Everyone prefers that.
Yes.
But it depends on the time of year and the month and what's hatching and if there's anything hatching at all.
Yes.
So if there's nothing,
because not every fish will do that. You're not going to catch catfish with flies.
No, because they're down.
Yes.
I've only ever caught trout on a fly. Well, except for that one bass in Wisconsin, but I did not successfully reel him in. I didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
And I was reeling him in like this. Then like, no, just pull the line. And I was like, what do you mean pull the line? I have to like hold the. This is my first time ever fly fishing. I didn't know what I was doing.
So you pull the line when you catch a. So you just snag the fish and then you pull the line. Is that the idea? So you're asking not a professional. Okay.
I fish so far in rivers that are small or medium. I fished in the Arkansas River once, and I didn't know what I was doing. Yes. No idea what I was doing. Didn't even get a bite. I just like threw it upstream and then watched it float for like an hour. Nothing ever happened. I didn't know what bait to use. A lot of that was, a lot of learning is just like going around and messing around. Yes. Just effing around in the river. Now that I'm not, my best friend here and my vice president of our OGC chapter, he taught me how to fly fish. Okay. We will go out about once a month. I go out almost every weekend. He goes out with me once a month. And he'll catch twice as many fish as I will. And it's like, I am doing nothing different than you do because you taught me. Right. But over the past like 6 months, I'm starting to like get more stuff. Like, especially where the fish are. And that is the number one thing. Okay. But yeah, the line is heavier. And then I was using all of the leader line. But so Rambo Van Halen told me most fishermen use 1 leader line a year. And then they can tie a surgeon knot with these various different sized other lines. And so you have, the 5, actually the 6 is the small, 5, and then the 2 is the bigger. And so he's like, keep this on your persons. I wear a lanyard, and I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm just gonna keep it in my pack over there. Like I'm not gonna keep it on me on the river. Yeah. Because I don't go to big enough rivers. I can use my waders, go out 6 feet in the river, and I'm in the middle of the river. So if my line breaks some, I can just go 6 feet back. And none of the rivers I go into are so powerful that I'm gonna be pushed by the current, which is a thing if you go further north. So I live in New Mexico, and I go to the most southern, literally the most southern part of the Rocky Mountains, Sangre de Cristos. Okay. Which is Pecos Mountain, north of I-25. That's the tip of the Rocky Mountains.
So when you're fly fishing, then can you only fly fish in moving water? Is that the general
No,
idea? Okay.
that is what I like to do because
Yes.
again, I get bored.
Yeah.
I get so bored on a lake, which is why I go with my friends every year. I have driven. I drove from Orange County, California, twice up to Wisconsin, and I drove last year from New Mexico up to Wisconsin to go on this fishing trip. I can't do it this year because the little boy, the 6 month old, but he was 1 month old at that time, so I couldn't go then. But they just go on lakes, and
Oh, okay.
I like because well, most of northern Wisconsin, there are a lot of rivers and stuff. I don't know. I have no idea the ecol or waterology. I don't know what that word is, but
Yeah.
uh, uh,
Tributaries and branches or
hydrology.
something. So,
Hydrology.
okay.
I don't know the hydrology of Wisconsin. I just know there's like 15,000 lakes.
Yes.
But here in New Mexico, the lakes are stocked with trout. They are
Okay.
stocked. And I
Yes.
subscribe to the Fishing Game email, and every Wednesday I get an update. And every Wednesday they post the best pictures of the week. And every single email, all of the biggest trout, I mean, some of them are not even fisherman's tails, some of them are like this freaking huge. They're all in lakes. And
Right.
that's really cool. Some of them are alpine lakes, like really high.
Yes.
And then most of them are like mid 7 to 8,000 feet lakes. But they're
So
stocked.
what's the topography of New Mexico like then? What?
Eastern New Mexico is the High Plains,
Okay.
High Plains, and then from central New Mexico to Arizona is Basin and Range.
Okay.
That's almost too simplified because there's a lot of volcanoes that happened,
Mm-hmm.
and in the Great Rift Valley, so the Rio Grande that goes from Colorado down to Texas and then over to the Gulf.
Yes.
In New Mexico, the Rio Grande, the land, a massive split in the land happened and it tore itself apart. And it's called a rift. So it's actually not even the Rio Grande Valley. They call it the Rio Grande Valley, but it
Yes.
should be technically geologically called the Rio Grande Rift because the
Okay.
earth tore itself apart. And the Rio Grande didn't carve its path to Texas. It followed a violent destruction in the earth where
Which
the
is
earth tore itself apart.
abnormal.
Mhm.
Which is
No, it
well,
is.
sure. Let's go with that. I was going to say which is abnormal for the movement of water because
Mhm.
generally water is going to it. It's a
It
both
always
and where it's
follows.
choosing the path of least resistance, but it's also there's this erosion that's going on as it's moving. But what you're saying is that the opening was already there and it just
Yeah.
filled it up. Yeah.
Yep. That's exactly it. Everything you just said is exactly it. So the Rio Grande starts in the San Juan Mountains, the most beautiful mountain range in the country, and it
Are they technically Rockies? Are they part of the Greater Rockies?
no Greater Rockies.
Okay.
They're a whole separate thing.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, they're kind of the Rockies. I can do this back. The Rockies start uh, way up in, I would say, Alaska, and they go down and they end in New Mexico on the Sangre de Cristos at the Pecos River where I go fishing.
Okay.
And the Jemez Mountains, east of or west of Santa Fe, and all of the mountain ranges south of those are volcanic upheavals,
Yeah,
separate
which
from
is an
rock.
entirely different form of
Yeah,
mountain, entirely
and the
different.
San
Yeah.
Juans are the same. They're
Okay.
like didn't erupt, but whatever they call where they swell
Right.
and don't erupt, but then the magma solidifies and all of the ground is eroded away.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether you believe in 5,000 or 4 billion.
Yeah, right.
4.6 billion. Yeah, it doesn't matter whether God did that or God did that through natural processes. The way that our world is set up is incredibly beautiful.
Yes.
But New Mexico split apart violently, and the Rio Grande goes through that split all the way to pretty much El Paso and then Big Bend area, and it goes down to the Rio Grande. That part didn't split, but it's split here in Albuquerque. Well, most of New Mexico. Land violently tore itself apart.
Well, and it's a crazy thing how. Let me figure out how to say it. You can have one area, and you can have the primary. You can have the primary habitat, the primary ecology in one area, in these little niche pockets.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this question of how in the world did this even get here? And that the fauna is different, the flora is completely different.
Mm-hmm.
And it's goodness gracious, where was it? Was it travels by people that somehow imported this stuff? Was there something that popped up? It's super easy with Florida because the pythons, right? They're taking over the Everglades, and they're an invasive species. Super easy to track that and be like, huh? But then there's other times where, at the very least, if it wasn't completely natural, the invasive part of invasive species is so far back in history that we just don't understand how this animal got there or how that tree got there. I love it. Yeah, and even when you're talking, the fact that we can have mountain ranges that are different in formation and composition is this mind-blowing thing.
Right next to each other.
Yes, right.
The Rockies were two plates colliding, and then 100 miles west is just a volcanic upgrowth of magma, and it's all eroded away. I mean, it's pretty incredible. Well, yeah. Not to get too into that, but yeah.
Well, it's crazy too. I mean, but that's part of the reason. Like, have you ever been out to Devil's Tower on the Badlands?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, right. Like, it's sitting there out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Apparently, magma shot up and cooled so fast that it created those telltale Devil's Tower like columns.
Yes.
There's one here in New Mexico, almost identical but shorter and fatter. And I climbed to the top of it back in 2018. I was living in Wisconsin.
Did you used to be a rock climber?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
No kidding. Okay.
But this one in New Mexico does not require technical climber skills. It is that the way up is so gradual. It's like a 5.5 in rock climbing terms. It's like a 5.5 or a 5.6. Okay. Very simple. You can just like step your way up to the top, and then you can see most of central New Mexico. It's pretty incredible. But yeah.
In the military organization that I will not name, one of the it was fun to see the rock climbers because you wouldn't think it, but boy, they developed their cardio. They had endurance level cardio, and then on top of that, they were these lithe, skinny little guys, and they would do pull-ups for days. I mean, they'd be on 30 and, okay, get off, you're good. I can keep going. I'm sure you can get off.
Yeah, I won 2 competitions in Oklahoma. Came in second once. Came in third once. Yeah, I was a huge rock climber. That was my everyday. I work at the University of Oklahoma gym's rock wall for my junior and senior year.
So, not to get too far afield from fishing, but what is it about rock climbing? Because the guys I've met that, like, I've met guys that have tried it, and then I've met guys who did it. And the guys who did it, like there's a bug. It gets into even to more of a point than most of the musicians I've met. There's something about rock climbing that just is in the back of their brain that says, "Oh, I'm going to climb that."
It never goes away.
Yeah.
It is a real bug. Okay. Again, to bring up my vice president of my OGC chapter here in New Mexico.
Yes.
He rock climbed his entire life. He's in his 40s. His father set up upwards of, I don't remember the 40 or 50% of the climbs in the state of New Mexico. As in, like, he drilled in the bolts for people to clip into in the state of New Mexico. It's just something, it gets into your... I really don't know. I really don't know. I think I transferred rock climbing into fly fishing.
Yeah. Okay. So here's one for you. Up in the chat, there's a fellow called Midway, and he's talking. This was several ago, and I didn't want to jump in there too quick with this. Let's see. Have you ever heard of Isaac Walton's The Complete Angler? He said he hasn't read it, but he read the biography the fellow did of George Herbert, and then he's known some people that found it interesting. So are you familiar with that book at all? Okay, fair enough.
But I'm going to write it down.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
Then the next one.
I'm going to pick that book up.
Okay. Yeah, Isaac Walton's The Complete Angler.
Yep.
Okay. And then I had another question. Do you guys have Chinese carp taking over the lakes? We have infestations in some of the Arizona lakes.
I haven't been to a single lake in New Mexico, but I read the reports and I kind of follow New Mexican fly fishermen on Twitter, X, whatever the heck it's called.
Okay.
I have not heard of that, and I seriously hope it does not happen. Because I guarantee you, I assume Abbott Greenfield knows that they probably kill the trout. And they crowd out and probably kill the trout. And so then you're just hosed.
Yeah.
And what are you going to do with a Chinese carp? Are they the ones on the rivers in the Midwest that jump like out of the water when you're riding your boat because the propeller messes with them and they jump and they hit the guys in the face and stuff? Is that
I don't know. You said jump and I was like, is that pike? You know, I'm a really bad Midwestern kid. Like I never got on the lakes or whatever. Like if but
those videos where the fish jump out of the river and just
I don't know,
hit them in the face, and those are carp. Those are Chinese carp, I think. Those things are.
Let's do some angry typing.
We need to bring back dynamite to fishing with those guys. Get rid of it.
So I know. Good Lord. Okay, let me see if I can share this. Where I'm at right now, I know that carp is an issue. Let's see. Abbott says, yes, they kill the trout and they taste terrible. Yes, they do jump. Okay, well, that answers all of it, right?
Well, I didn't know about the killing the trout part, but that's awful. That's absolutely awful. They got to go. We can deport them.
Right.
Who do we talk to? ICE about this?
Where we're at, I know in every state calls them a little bit different. Some have fishing game, some have DNR. The DNR out of my state, they work very diligently to manage carp, which have become an issue. But then the other one is hogs. Thankfully, my state has yet to really deal with hogs. They had an infestation out on to the east side of it back in the late 90s, mid to late 90s, and they were able to get that under control. But the current reports are that there's not too much going on with wild, feral, however you want to phrase it, the hog population.
Mhm.
So,
Well, you should probably start a company. Do you have a helicopter pilot's license?
yeah, that's a conversation for offline.
Yeah, without going into your experience in the military, can you fly a helicopter? Can you start a company shooting down hogs?
Legally, no.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see. Not as much as that RT. Okay, so that's a conversation they just got going on in chat. But yeah, so the out here locally, it's one of those things where in the river that I live closest to, we're not dealing with them. There is another bigger river.
The carp?
Right. Yeah, we're not dealing with the carp. Truth be told, I don't know. I might be next to a very nice river because I don't think we're dealing with any invasive species overall.
Well, we're gonna have to talk after
Yeah.
record about where the
That'd be
heck
fine. That'd be fine. Well, now here's one though, and now I'm really getting out into the weeds. Were the carp originally introduced though by the Corps of Engineers? Was that one of their magic plans?
I hope you're talking to the chat and not to me.
Nah, I was talking to you, but that's fine.
No, I have no idea. Again, fly fishing, which I've become obsessed with and I'm doing all the time, and
yes,
not getting. I'm forcing myself to get good at it. I know nothing about it. No, I'm learning a lot about it.
Now, so
the ecology of the river here. I just moved here 2 years ago, so I need to learn more, and I am actually. But
because I guess you're probably dealing with a hot water fish to some degree.
No, these are cold. These are cold because the Sangre de Cristo, that's the Rocky Mountains. It's cold up there.
It is high enough that okay.
Yeah, and an invasive species in that river would be the rainbow trout, which I assume DNR introduces. No, I know they do. I know they introduce it, but I assume it is an invasive species. And actually, the books. I mean, I went.
So that's a little bit where I was headed because I was thinking I didn't think you'd be dealing with salmon or with heavy trout or whatever. Now I'm kind of speaking out of my ass, but
no. They're the local are brook and brown trout and possibly no, not Rio Grande. So there's very few trout that were here without being introduced, and the rainbow trout are introduced, and they kind of bully all the local trout out.
Okay.
They're beautiful to catch, but I almost, the first fish I ever caught, and I sent you this picture. I'm holding this, this guy like this big with my, it's the cowboy, it's the straw hat. That was near the headwaters of the Pecos, not near, but close to the headwaters of the Pecos. And my buddy, my VP of the OGC now, he brought me out there, and he was like, "We'll catch something." And I fished all day. It was my first time fly fishing for real, and he caught a little brown because he knew what to do that I didn't. I put a fly on my rod, and I just fished that fly the entire day. But he was just constantly, "They're not going for this. I'm gonna change it out. They're not." That's in Wisconsin. That's when I learned how to cast my bare ass right there. That's when I learned how to cast. That was my two friends, one genuine Wisco dude and one a French dude. They taught me how to fly fish, so that's where I that's when I learned how to do it. I just still didn't master it. But there's one with me in a straw hat. It should be like a couple pictures after that. And I caught this littlest guy, and it was a native brown trout. And I was so proud because I caught a native trout, not like a rainbow or a brook. And I later learned that those native trouts are more picky because actually I don't know why. They're just being forced out, and so they took. My buddy was like, "Oh, I've been fishing all day. I finally caught one. It was on this fly, which was literally a fly, like a recreation of a black fly. Even though the flies come in all shapes and sizes and all these different types of flies, but it was literally a black fly. He was like, I threw a small black fly in and he caught it. And so after like my second cast, it was in this little whirlpool, caught this little tiny brown trout. And I was so proud. And that was the moment that not only did I hook the fish, but I was hooked. Game over after that. And that was like
Yes.
at the end of last year. So then I had to wait like all of fall and winter because I didn't know you could still fish in the fall. And he had at that time a 4 and a 5 and a 6-month-old. So his kid is a year older than mine. So he was also like, I can't go out this weekend. And I was like, oh man, bummer. And now I'm like, oh, I get it. Yeah, I get it. You can't just go with me whenever I ask you to come with me to the mountains an hour and 45 minutes away. You can't just be like, dropping everything. I'm coming, brother. I'll be there. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Man, that's good. So Abbott jumped back in the chat, and he did say that the Asian carp were introduced in the 60s and 70s by private fish farmers and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service for aquaculture, weed control, and algae management. And then
how'd that work out? How'd that work out?
Well, and that's unfortunately, it's the common story, right?
And did they even test? So I've never heard this before, but did they even test what the algae was doing? Is the algae healthy for the river?
Right.
I mean, or is there a bunch of algae and they're like, oh no, there's a bunch of algae. We better kill it. Just bring in an invasive species that will take over the entire river because it feeds on algae, which I assume the river needs. I'm sorry, it's just very frustrating.
No, it is very frustrating. Here, I'm going to show you another one. So this stuff right here, it's called Serratia lespedeza. The Corps of Engineer in the post-war period started bringing this Chinese plant over here because it stops erosion. But you know what else it does? It takes over. It takes over the land it's on. It chokes out all the other species. It produces a noxious gas that limits the growth of the native species. And then, you know what else happens? When it takes over the pastures, once it gets past 6-7 inches, your animals quit eating it. The tannin content is so high in it that the animals won't eat it. And then it chokes out the other plants. I'm fighting this stuff in my pastures right now. I've been fighting it for 3 years. And the reason I haven't gone to 2,4-D or any of the chemicals yet, because I don't want to. I don't think I should have to.
But you don't want cancer. You don't want your animals to get cancer.
Right. So I'm fighting it slowly but surely. I'm winning against it. But it was life in the U.S. And it's funny because it applies to the water, it applies to the land, it applies to the general populations, and it applies to some of the animal populations. Life in the post-war period has been importing issues.
Well, thankfully not.
And it's as simple as that. What was that?
Thankfully, we haven't been importing workers.
Oh yeah, we've really avoided that one. That would really
be detrimental to the heritage Americans if we started. I'm just gonna stop with the bit there.
Yeah, I know. Right?
I know. It seems like everything that we everything that we bring from the continent of Asia doesn't fit in with our way of life, whether it be carp, weeds,
right,
or workers. Sorry, this is a fishing stream.
And that's it. That's what I'm thinking. And yet here, I gotta go just for 30 seconds. HBD gets a really bad rap, but it's really simple when you think that different external pressures on various populations are going to produce different people groups with different priorities. If you know snow is coming for 6 months out of the year, you're going to act differently than if snow is not coming to where you're from. If the grasses you have can't be eaten by livestock, you're not going to have livestock. And so now we've built this particular way of life around what we have, and they've built a particular way of life around what they've had. And for us to step in and say
tens of thousands of years or thousands of years.
Yes. Yes. Generation at immemorial. And we just want to say, like a cog, we could just swap, which maybe would work, except that we're not all cogs. And even if we were all cogs, one is geared up with 12 teeth, and the other one is geared up with 1,200 teeth for the different. So it's just stupid. But I'm preaching to the choir. So, fishing.
That's why I'm not going to say anything, because I'm already. I'm already.
My first video I did on this channel was actually HBD. Because.
And what is HBD?
Human biodiversity.
Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You don't even need to explain it.
I think it was John Carter. Well, he did a great one. He did this great thread on X where he took. It was just a lot of fun. He took D&D and he took like the stats, agility and strength and so on. And how did he do it? He used Grok to help him build randomizers and averages between various people groups. I'm trying to remember the data set he used. But anyway, he just played it all out as in rolling 2d6s and what that meant. And so then I ended up doing a video on that. It was a very clever way of explaining some of these concepts. I thought it was great.
He's doing the Lord's work.
Right.
But okay. I'm going to get into, I was going to quote a video you've probably never seen, but so I learned a bunch of stuff from my best friend here, but he's my vice president of the OHC.
Is that Rambo?
No.
Okay.
Rambo lives, I'll say, elsewhere.
Yes.
Not in New Mexico.
Because I was going to pull up his stuff, but yeah, I won't.
We should eventually, because I do want to talk about what he taught.
Okay.
Because he did teach me a lot, and I'm going to interview him next week.
Oh, very nice.
By interview, I mean I'm not a great interviewer. I've interviewed 4 people on my podcast so far, and I don't know. I just want them to talk so much that when they stop talking, I'm like, oh no, what do I say?
We're gonna get back to fishing. Did you interview the is it Summer of Dogs?
And King of Dogs. And
King of Dogs. Okay.
And he sent me a copy of his new novel.
Okay.
And I started reading it today.
Yes.
I had to quit before this right here.
Yes, because it was going to take you
frustrated. Okay. I was like, oh, I have something to do. I need to gather all my stuff, and I want to keep reading.
On your recommendation, I did grab that, and it's sitting on my bookshelf, so I'm going to get to that.
It's so good. Unfortunately, I listened to Pete Quinonez's interview with him, and then immediately, the next weekend, I was going to go for 4 days to the San Juan Mountains with my wife and my son and my in-laws.
Yes.
And so I wanted a book to read, and so I checked all the bookstore. I called every single bookstore in New Mexico or in Albuquerque, and none of them had it. And so then I looked at Amazon and all of the eBay, everything. Nobody could give me the book in time, so I caved and bought the digital copy.
Yes. Okay. Right.
And I read it in 2 days. It was done, and so I immediately hit him up because I was like, "Hey, I'm so and so, and I listened to you on Pete's and so, and I was like, I would love to interview you because this book takes place in the Southwest, and I am the expert of the American Southwest." And so yeah, he agreed, and we had a great conversation. And then he sent me a forward copy of this. This is King of Dogs, but he sent me a forward copy of his newest novel, which is not quite out yet, but it will be very soon. Okay. And my goodness, I started today, and last week, so Inside Baseball, me and Wandering Panda were supposed to have this conversation last week, but I double booked, unfortunately, and I had an OGC chapter meeting that I forgot that I made because I'm scatterbrained with a child.
Life is busy.
Life is busy. And so tonight I was reading the book and I was like, I can't justify. Like, I just have to put this book down. I have to put this book down and get stuff ready to come talk to Pam.
Well, I was going to say, I am grateful and I apologize because I've heard it's excellent. I'm looking forward to it. So,
Screwdriver is I say that.
Is that the new one?
Yep.
Okay.
Let me. God, how long do I have to scroll over on my freaking Crowbar?
Okay.
Andrew Edwards Crowbar. It'll hook you immediately. It's very good. It's not out yet. I am embarrassed that I said the wrong title to begin with, but it's Crowbar. And he even said the name of his next novel when we were interviewing, because I was so excited. Okay. I was like, oh my gosh, really? You have another? Yeah, that's it right there. That's
perfect.
Yeah. I opened it, or I started today, and tough to put down. It's a little different in how do I say this? I'm writing a novel. How do you say this? It's different in its structure than King of Dogs.
Okay.
This one is a little bit, and I think he did mention this in our interview. It's a little more Blood Meridian than
so that is, I may have told you this before. I have started that book I think a half dozen times, and I don't know. I loved The Road. I loved No Country for Old Men, which are probably his two most accessible books. But I have not been able to crack that nut with Blood Meridian. It's like you on shore fishing. I have not been able to figure it out. I have a buddy. On the other hand, who was down in Texas for a while this summer, and he said reading it in Texas made everything click.
Yeah.
He said for him, that's what, because he's another Midwestern fella, and he said being down in Texas,
there's a part in that bookshelf that is like 8 Cormac McCarthy novels.
Right.
I mean, he is the king of recent American novelists. I like Jim Harrison.
Okay.
I like, even though he was an asshole,
most of them are.
Yeah. So, but Cormac McCarthy is very good. He's very good.
Okay.
But fly fishing.
Yes.
So, have you ever fly fished?
No.
Okay.
I have not. I have dry casted just to see if I could and different things, but no. For a variety of reasons, I've never been out on the river. I've never been. The most fishing I've done. The most legitimate fishing I've done. I've shore fished some on random rivers and creeks, and then I was pier fishing in North Carolina some. But that's it.
So part of the draw, I mean, probably the same thing with like fishing on the ocean. You hear the waves. One of the biggest draws of fly fishing on a river, is just hearing the river.
Yes.
You can't hear anything else. Unless it's like a weak river. But you just hear the water. And it kind of just cleanses your mind to where all you can hear is the river and your own thoughts.
Yes.
And that's it. And then that's what drew me to it, I think, just because I like mountains and I like being in the wilderness. I like being around or not being around people. I also like being around people because I talk a lot and I'm very sociable.
Right.
But I like being, okay, if I can take a break from that, which is like every day, all the time, and go out on the river in the mountains where it's just the water, the sound of the water, and the prospect of maybe I'll catch a fish today, which I always get a fish. But sometimes it takes 3 or 4 hours.
Yes.
And that was the biggest hurdle to fly fishing, was learning where the fish are. When I first, so I sent you a picture. I think you used it in the thumbnail.
Yes. Now that one I could pull up. We've been fighting a little inside baseball for everybody listening. We've been fighting with this stupid transition to XChat for the past couple of days. And so messages haven't popped up and so on. I only have those 2 pictures. The one I had on here earlier, and then
I
the one
emailed
that's
you
in
like
thumbnail.
30 pictures.
Oh, did you? Okay, let me see if I can get to those.
Well, I'll talk while you're getting those, because half of them are just like the little. There's a picture in here if you click it.
Yeah.
So the biggest hurdle to fly fishing is, where are the fish? You can be on a stream, a small river, or a big river. I fished on the Arkansas, didn't catch anything because I didn't know what I was doing. I fished on the Conejos in Colorado. I fished on the Rio de los Pinos in Colorado, which is a tiny, tiny stream. And I mostly fish on the Pecos here in New Mexico. I've also fished on in the Jemez Mountains of New Mexico. There's a small, I forgot now. But no matter where you fish.
I found them.
Okay.
Which, is there a particular one you're looking for right now?
You could pull up. Sorry, I apologize. No, I don't know. There's so many. Shoot.
Okay.
They should be in chronological order. So the first one was me in the lake in Wisconsin.
Yes.
The next one should have been
the thumbnail.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it goes like from where I've gone. And 2 weekends ago, because last weekend was very busy with the Elks Lodge and church as well, I couldn't go fishing. And last weekend, or 2 weekends ago, I went to the Pecos River in the Sangre de Cristos, and then there was a place called Mora Creek, and it kind of branches off. That they have a huge campground and like picnic area there, and it's all fenced off. So I parked across the street and said, F it. I'm like walking up Mora Creek, and I caught the 2 biggest fish I've ever caught up there because there's nobody there. Nobody's fishing there. And so the biggest problem, or no, not the biggest problem. The first thing you have to learn when fly fishing is where the fish are. You can't just throw your line on the river. You can, and sometimes you'll reel it in and catch a fish, but you don't know what's there until you're like reeling it in. But the first thing that you should learn when fly fishing is where the fish are. And that is it's near the shore, and it's behind rocks. Because the river's always coming. It's always coming. And sometimes it raises up higher, sometimes it's lower. They're always coming. So that was That's the Kern. Any Californios here? That other picture is the Kern River, and that was the same day I bought my fly rod. So in the last picture of me on the river or the lake in Wisconsin, I was borrowing my friend's fly rod, who doesn't even fly fish, but he brought it because he don't want to try it. But he's like, no, I don't want to try it. I've already caught 500 fish this weekend. I don't need to fly fish. Here's my fly rod. This is how you cast. This one, I bought my fly rod. I don't know if anyone's listening from California, but Lake Isabella at the very base of the mountains in California. Yeah, so it's at the base of the mountains in California, and the river was clearly like, I think it was like 5 feet over. It was like flooding 5 feet. And so I didn't know what I was doing. I was just throwing a fly in, but the fish aren't there. The river was at some points 10 feet up the way towards Lake Isabella, 10 feet higher than normal. And so I was just like casting, and my wife thought I looked cool or something. I don't know. And she like took this picture.
Good.
Yeah.
Right?
And there was nothing to catch because the fish are not in, they're all the way to the sides of the river in little cubbies, because it was the Kern River. It goes all the way to the Pacific. It goes to whatever that farming town in south of the Kern River is. Anyways, where all the Okies went, Bakersfield. It goes through Bakersfield.
Oh.
And then it goes out to the Pacific Ocean.
That explains stuff. I didn't realize there was mass migration into there. Right.
Yeah, the Okies went to Bakersfield.
Okay.
During the Dust Bowl, they all went to California.
Yeah.
And the sheriffs at the border were like, you cannot go to LA, you can't go to San Diego, you're just going to this farming community that looks a lot like Oklahoma because it's just dead flat between two mountain ranges. Please, somebody in the chat help me out. Oh my gosh, I've been there 100 or 50 times. The major mountain range in California. Anyways.
Is this the Sierra Nevadas?
Sierra Nevadas. Yeah, of course. Of course it's Sierra
Nevadas. I only know because of the beer company.
Yeah. Goodness gracious. Been a long day. Been up since 5 o'clock. The boy's teething.
Yeah.
So he's not sleeping very well these days. I've been up for a while. Anyways, that picture is just me just trying to figure stuff out. The next few pictures are when I finally caught. That is the Pecos River near its headwaters in the Sangre de Cristos in New Mexico. And then I think
that's gorgeous.
That is. Even if you don't. No, sorry.
I could have stood here for 10 hours and not have realized that was New Mexico.
That's New Mexico.
Yeah.
Okay. Even if you don't catch anything, which is frustrating, even if you don't catch nothing, you're still in that. You're still standing in that river. And all you can hear is the river and your own thoughts. A good day fishing, whether you catch something or not, is a good day fishing. Is a good day, period. It's a good day no matter what.
And could you have said that before you started fly fishing?
No. I despised fishing. We would go on canoes in the UP and in Wisconsin, and it was fun being on the water. Yes. But I was bored. I was bored. You cannot be bored here.
That's awesome.
You can't. It's impossible. That was the first fish I ever caught on a fly rod. My little 6-foot fly rod I bought at a gas station near Lake Isabella, Wisconsin, or California. Gas station fly rod.
So you got your fly rod at a gas station. Did you just go out saying, "I'm going to find a rod on the way, and I'm just going to go at it"?
That's exactly what I told myself and my wife.
Okay, right? That's awesome.
We went camping all weekend. Side note, this campsite where we went in the southern Sierra Nevadas was part of the Pacific Coast Trail. It also was an outdoor shooting range in California.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know well, it's out.
Is it
well, it's outside of the
is it
coast.
is it rifles? Is it skeet? Is it all of
Oh,
the
I
above?
brought my AK. I didn't care.
Yeah.
I brought my handguns, my revolvers, and my AK. And my wife and I would spend like 2 hours. We went once a month for about a year, and we would just shoot guns. Nobody was ever there. The only people that were ever there were people dropping off food and packages for their loved ones or friends that were on the Pacific Coast Trail.
Okay.
Or not Pacific, whatever, not Pacific Coast Trail, but whatever the mountain trail, Pacific Mountain Trail that goes from, Mexico all the way up to like British Columbia or all the way up to Alaska, technically.
Yeah.
So it just goes through there. So we would stay there, we would just shoot. But Lake Isabella is southwest of where we camped, and I just went to the gas station and they had hundreds of rods, and I was like, I want a fly rod, and he was like, no, this is a good one.
Yes.
It's this one right here.
Okay.
And when Rambo Van Halen and I hung out a couple month and a half ago, he noticed that on the side of the rod it says 9 foot rod with a specific like what weight line you should use.
Yes.
And I was like, this is a 6 foot rod. And he was like, oh, they sold you a rod with a third of it missing.
Right.
So I've been using this 6 foot rod, which is supposed to be a 9 foot rod the whole time. But yeah, that was my first fish I ever caught. Tiny little guy. But I was telling the story the first time I caught him, I was like, oh, he was like this big. And then I would pull up my phone and show him. And he's like this big. I was just playing into
I've got proof. Yeah.
Yeah. Playing into the fisherman stereotype. But my friend who, this is a place in the San Juan Mountains in southern Colorado. I tried to fish there. Go to the next one. I looked super awesome, according to some people.
Okay. Right.
And I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have my friend. I was doing it by myself. And I just fished there for an hour.
Yeah, but
really like, can we go back to the campground like the sun is setting and you haven't got a bite?
I mean, like, on the other hand, though, fly fishing is one of those skills, one of those pursuits that so few people do nowadays. It's almost to me, it's like, who cares if you're doing it wrong? Like, just get out there and do it. Yeah.
Now, I would agree, but once you have someone that can just teach you, it is a game changer. Like when I was rock climbing, nobody taught me. I'll just say it. Nobody taught me shit. Nobody taught me anything because nobody was doing it. This was 2000. This was 2007. Nobody rock climbing in Oklahoma because there aren't rocks to climb in Oklahoma. There are.
I was wondering, but I wasn't going to say.
There are. I later learned there are, but nobody. I just taught myself. Yes. But actually, the same thing with fly fishing. Once I made friends with people who knew what they were doing, my game upped, substantially. So I went on. You can just quick through all these next pictures. I just went. That's me on the Conejos River in the San Juan. So this is July of this year, and we were in my best friend here in New Mexico and my vice president of the OGC. Okay, cool. Quick aside. I met my vice president of the OGC because in 2003, I was living with my wife. We were living in Orange County, California. An Australian gentleman contacted me and said, hey, I love your episode over the bison. I have a YouTube channel and a TikTok channel and I have a 1.5 million TikTok viewers, and like 1 million YouTube channel visitors or viewers. When I visit the United States next week for the next 2 months, can you meet up with me anywhere so we can hang out and talk? Well, I said, of course.
Yes.
And we had an incredible weekend. My wife and I drove from Orange County to Chaco Canyon.
So you got to hang out with Thomas Sewell.
No, not him. I don't think my friend Sid Ventures. I don't. I think he would love to be. He would love to be right wing, but he can't be because he runs a tour company in Australia. So he mostly has boomers come to his tour company and they hang out with him for 4 days and they go camp in the, what do they call it, the outback, and they go to the Uluru or whatever rock and they talk about Aboriginals and all that stuff, and they go to the coast. And so, he cannot be outwardly like us, but I think internally is. But anyways, it was a great weekend. We hung out for 3 days, and then I went back home, and then I'm sorry, I messed this up. So the third day we were hanging out, my wife and I took my wife with us. So it was my wife, me, and this guy, Sid, from Australia. We had a great weekend. We camped on the San Juan River below the Navajo Dam. Anyone who's listening, New Mexico knows that. And we camped in this little free campground. I woke up the next morning with the sunrise, like I always do when I'm camping. And now that I have a 6-month-old, I still wake up at sunrise because he is. And so, woke up. I wanted to go by the river and just check it out. I wasn't fishing at this time. Had never fished before. Well, never fly fished before. And I go to the river, kind of, take it all in, go back to my truck, and this truck had showed up with an older gentleman and a guy around my age. And so I struck up a conversation with the guy around my age. I was like, hey, what are you doing out here? And he's like, oh, I live in Albuquerque. My boss and I we're going fly fishing today. I was like, oh man, I just fly fished for the first time 1 month ago in Wisconsin. That was that first picture.
Yes.
In the lakes. And I was like, I just fly fished for the first time. I was like, that's really awesome. And we talked for 30 minutes while he was suiting up, gearing up, getting everything ready.
Yes.
And then he was like, hey, if you ever move to New Mexico, hit me up. And I was like, brother, my wife and I are moving here very soon. And he's like, awesome. So fast forward 4 months later, I moved here, texted him immediately. I was like, hey, I live here now. You're now my best friend. Fuck you. Oh, sorry. You don't have a choice. And now he's my, he joined the Elks Lodge with me. And we go fly fishing, we go camping, we hang out. And now he is my vice president of OGC. So
look at that.
Random encounter. Absolutely random encounter. But he and I know you pulled up the chat there. So he and I went on a fly fishing trip to the San Juan Mountains in July of this year, and we spent 4 days there. And I stopped counting after I caught so many. But yeah,
very good. I think that might be. Let's see. That might be what I had.
And by the way, I caught 13 or 16 fish. They were all that size. They were not very big.
Okay.
But it was it was the West Dolores River. If anyone is interested, hit me up. I'll take you out there and go fishing. You'll just catch infinite fish. You'll cast upriver and it will float downriver, and then you'll start pulling it in, and you'll just not even know there's a fish on it. Yeah, it just keeps. Yeah, it's just constant. Guys about this size. Yeah, but from catching my first fish ever the year before. It was literally a year before. That
Yes.
little one I was holding in my hand. To these guys, it was a little bit bigger. And
Right.
every time I go this year, I just keep catching bigger and bigger fish. Because, like I said earlier, oh, sorry.
I was just thinking. I just realized. I think the most fly fishing I've ever done was watching a river runs through it.
That's a great book. Is that one of my favorite authors?
I don't know. I haven't read the book. I've only seen the movie.
Is that with Brad Pitt?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is Jim Harrison.
Oh.
That is Jim Harrison.
Okay.
That is a fantastic novel, and Jim Harrison's books are all fantastic.
Okay.
They are all. You should read, especially any young men who want to read like a degenerate but kind of inspiring novel. Read Wolf: A False Memoir.
Ooh.
It's an autobiographical novel that he hides with a false memoir.
Sure.
Yeah, it is great though. It takes place in the UP, but yeah.
That's more or less. Really? Where's he from?
The UP.
Okay.
Yeah, Jim Harrison.
Really got my attention.
He's from very close to Hemingway, and they also kind of wrote something similarly.
And it's funny because people think Hemingway, Florida, or Daggum, Europe or whatever. Well,
Cuba.
Europe, but yeah, right. But it's like
no. Yeah. No.
The Midwest has a few secrets.
Yeah, Jim Harrison is one of them. Jim Harrison was on one of the last episodes of. I know he's a shit lib. We all know he's a shit lib. But Anthony Bourdain's show.
Okay. Yeah.
Before he hung himself, because he's a little bitch. I say that because I really liked Anthony Bourdain. Right. I'm 38. I'm of the age where, and I got my degree in anthropology. Yes. So he was a modern anthropologist without the degree, and I really liked a lot of his work. It turns out a lot of it is shit libbery, but it's still worth watching. Still. And he was a good chef too. I own 3 of his cookbooks.
I was thinking you were coming on tonight, and something's going through my head, and I can't remember what made me think about this, but it was the idea of how you have to be able to tell a story. And so many OGC guys, there's this focus on the story. It is history, but it's what is the trend that's going through history? What is the trend we're on now? What is the story that we're headed towards and into? So that's real big picture. But then what I started thinking about was like, who are the guys who I was like, man, they know how to tell a story. And one example, like you're talking about, yes, I realize he's Gen X libertarian or whatever, but you're never going to convince me that Dan Carlin is not a good storyteller. I know. I'm as a guy who has a particular sort of podcast, I know I'm throwing a grenade in there. But
no.
When you do Blueprints to Armageddon, you cannot convince me that was not one of the best retellings and emphases of World War I produced in the past couple decades.
What about the Khan series?
Right, the Wrath of the Khan.
Wrath of the Khans. Unbeatable.
Yeah. His blitz where he does so many of his blitz, whether it was on the atom bomb, whether it was on painfotainment, the idea of capital punishment.
I know.
It was unbelievable. That one, or he did one
even
on
the
Olympus.
What?
Yeah. What was the what's Alexander's mom? Is it Olympus? Olympia?
Oh no, he's still doing the Alexander series right now, and I will listen to every single one of them. I will listen to every single Dan Carlin episode he puts out until he dies. Unless
he can weave a story.
History of Rome guy.
Yeah.
Unless he goes full history, I'm going to listen to every Dan Carlin. Dan Carlin is the biggest influence on my personal history shop.
Yes.
The second biggest influence is the other DC, Daryl Cooper.
Okay, so I do recognize that as Martyr Maid now, but I couldn't. Yeah. What was I? I wasn't thinking it was Cooper. Whatever, it was a brain fart. But yeah, so Martyr Maid, gotcha.
Daryl Cooper are the biggest influences on my show, and it's nothing compared to those two guys. I mean, Daryl Cooper and I talked privately last week, which is really awesome, and then he retweeted my show.
He shouted you out.
Oh, he shouted me out. Yeah.
That no joke.
Yeah. He had 5 million downloads on his last episode.
Yes.
I have almost 200,000 listeners on my entire 3-year show. Now, he did say I had less than that in 3 years, but also, you're Dale Cooper, so you got 5 million downloads in one episode.
Right.
It's pretty freaking cool. But it's also, but back to Dan Carlin, I unfollowed him on social media.
Sure.
But I will listen to everything he puts out.
That makes sense to me. That's yep.
And I do believe him, but he says he doesn't read from a script. He says it takes so long because he just free boats, or he just goes and then they edit it into one episode. Daryl Cooper, Martyr Maid, and I type up a very good script that takes me a long time, combining all of my resources and all of my thoughts, and I type it up, and then I read it as naturally as I can for the episode.
Yes.
And Daryl Cooper does the same thing, by the way.
Yeah.
And we are, I do agree, I'm not in the league of them. But Daryl Cooper's storytelling is maybe one notch down. Not even a half notch down from Dan Carlin. Yep. But Daryl Cooper is one of us. A good guy, not a shit lip.
There's a this is going to sound so gay when I say it. And also, communication is difficult. Right? Mm-hmm. But when I listen to Carlin and I listen to Cooper, Carlin is very good about the big map and being able to present the entire map and what's actually going on. When I listen to Cooper, and this is where it's a question of, is it really Cooper or is it me? What I get with Cooper is less the big map, but more of the ethos, the spirit, the what is the. It's too easy to say like the je ne sais quoi, but what is that's making the groups act the way? Humanity. Why is Jim Jones doing this?
Because of the humanity that Daryl Cooper brings, that Dan Carlin's picture. Which I think is great.
It might be as simple as that. It might be, maybe it is just that idea of humanity.
Daryl Cooper humanizes the stories. And I do think so. And it's unfair even to compare the two with humanity. Okay. Because Daryl Cooper has only covered stories with modern sources.
Yes.
And not even modern.
Okay.
But over 150.
That's
Dan
a
Carlin
huge point.
Goes back sometimes thousands of years. You cannot quote and source humans from thousands of years ago. So you make it, I think, actually, I kind of just realized this just now myself. You cannot, because I do it myself. I have a whole series on the Anasazi, or the ancient ones, I call them, all the way from the Pleistocene or the Ice Age, all the way up to the Spanish. I cover the Native Americans in the Southwest. We call them the Anasazi, or, the libtards call them the ancestral Puebloans, but that term does not work if you get into it. But they didn't write anything down.
Yes.
So I had to tell a story like Dan Carlin to get these people to be relevant to the listener. But when I did my Civil War series in the Southwest, I just quoted people who were literally there. And so,
oh man, think about what that means, right? Like we were writing down because we are out and we're Western European, and we come down, and our means of communication is taking truth and putting it out in our community, and we do that by data and by capturing and by painting the picture. And then there were these groups that they couldn't paint the picture, but they were participating in the picture. And so the history that gets passed down, it's mind-boggling. It's like the steps in a particular dance are communicating this grand idea of what the gods were doing or what the spirits have been accomplishing. And again, it's not so much relaying as participating in. And there's also, yes, as a Christian, there's all sorts of things that I'm like, but there is also this active component of acting in the image of God that all these things are echoing. And it is something that Europeans have done, and we do, but it's also in a different way than, I hate to use the phrase and the trope, but then the noble savage idea. And so then to take what's going on within that noble savage idea and be able to communicate it to your listeners and portray that history, like, man, you guys are doing awesome.
Well, thank you, but I am biased.
Good. You should be, right? Like, if you don't think you're doing a good job, why put it in front of anybody?
Yeah. Well, it's that, but I'm also biased on the Christianity part. Like, I kind of mentioned in my, I released an episode in June about the Anasazi, and they ate people. They carved hearts out of people. And they did that because, well, part of it was we need to control you, and we're the government. But part of it was we believe this entity that we worship is real and true. And I think that they believed that because they saw that entity, and that entity was real and true to them, but it wasn't Christ. But yeah. Anyways, should we get back to fly fishing?
Sure, we do whatever. At this point, I'm down for right.
Okay, so I want to, like, so I'm looking at, like, my desk here. There is something that, all right, let's rewind to early October. About a year and a half ago, I started following Rambo Van Halen on Twitter, X. And I mostly followed him because he was talking about fly fishing at that time. But now he's talked about a bunch of stuff. And then he released this this book with a pseudonym. And he kind of hit me up and was like, hey, I'm going to be in New Mexico. Would you want to hang out? Because I messaged him and I was like, I read his book. This was before I read this was after I read his book. I was like, I read your book. I love it. This is great. I thought there was going to be, because when I started following him, he talked a lot about fly fishing. It was like a big deal on his Twitter X about fly fishing. And so I bought the book and I read it. It's great. Everyone should read it. But I quoted him on Twitter and I was like, hey, I bought your book. And there's no fly fishing tips and tricks in this book. I thought this was a fly fishing tips and tricks book. And we ended up meeting up about a month and a half ago. And he signed it with the worst pen I had in the world.
Okay.
But it says, to Thomas, forgot the H, so I'm Tomas, from Rambo Van Halen. And actually, I did that on purpose. But he was awesome. He taught me a shit ton of fly fishing tips and tricks. So after we met up, I retweeted something that he said, or quote tweet. I don't know what it's called, quote tweet or whatever. And I was like, hey, if you buy his book, he'll come fly to you and teach you how to fly fish. But one of the things that he taught me, besides the roll cast, which is very important if you're fishing on a little river or stream, because if you're fishing on a river or stream, there are trees behind, or bushes or rocks behind you. So if you're doing the whole thing, you're getting caught behind you. You're hosed. So he taught me a trick where you just go, and then you with no wrist. Sorry, I just did the wrist. You just go down, and it just it doesn't go behind you. It just flies up and then flies over. And one of the things that I had a problem with was I was doing the thing constantly, and I would just every time getting caught behind me. My friend Kyle, the OGC VP, he taught me a trick where you just flick upriver, which that was helpful. But where I've been going recently, that's not helpful because anyways, doesn't matter. But Rambo Van Halen, I won't say his name. He lives in a bunker somewhere in the Rockies. So I have a lot of flies. I have a lot of flies. This is my wallet. This folds up very nicely. I bought it from my ex-sponsor. I hope they sponsor me again soon. Buffalo Wool Co., the sock company. But this is Rogue Industries. It's like a little wallet you put in your pocket. But I have so many. These are the useless flies. Absolutely useless.
Okay.
These are the flies that I use now. And Rambo told me, oh shoot, I got to go back to something I said 45 minutes ago or something. But Rambo told me the fly fishing stores, from Sportsman's to your local fly fishing stores.
Yes.
They hook fly fishers with flies more than the flies hook.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
Because these are so cool. These are so cool. I'm never going to use. I will use some of these over here. I'll never use these over here. That's why I put them over here. They're just cool looking flies that I bought for no freaking reason, and I'll never use.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe I'll use them one day.
Okay.
So going back to the thing I said I earlier, we were talking about. Sorry, that was probably a lot of banging. The number one rule about fly fishing is where are the fish on the river. So I learned to read the river because when I first started fly fishing, I just walked with my waders into the river and just threw. Why aren't I catching any fish? Where are the fish? Why aren't I catching any fish? So then I learned how to read a river. And the fish don't want to be in certain areas. Like if the water's gushing, they're going to be off to the sides. They're like, I'm not going to sit and just expend all this energy. Just like I'm like acting like a fish here. I'm not going to like sit in the middle at the base of a waterfall. I'm not going to sit in
and they have to fight the whole time.
They're going to have to fight. They're going to expend all this energy. So then I learned that the fish are behind rocks in the river where the water goes around it and there's a little cool spot right here. But they like to go shoot out and grab things in the waterfall and in the fast moving river if they see it and it looks good. So then I started to recognize, to just cut it short, I started to recognize where the fish hide and where, as a fisherman, you don't want to put it right in front of them. Because if it lands right in front of them, they'll be like, what is that? And then it's gone. It's gone down the river. You want to put it in front of them and let the river take your fly down. They call it leading, I think.
Sure. But it's almost like, so if you're shooting skeet or whatever, whereas you would lead in front and you would take the shot to get the pigeon, if you're fishing, you want to get it behind, and then the river will take it in front.
The river,
the right way of understanding it?
Take it. The river will. The river is the trajectory of the skeet.
Yeah.
So you want to start where the launcher is.
Yeah.
You want to throw the fly where the launcher is, so it just goes on the river down. So they see, instead of it landing on them, because the fish are looking at where the water is coming. They're off to the side. Either way, they're off to the side where they're not expending much of energy. They're in like a little pool or behind a rock where the water's going around them and they're sitting there. You want to land it above the rock or above, where the water's coming down, and it will float down, and they will go, and they will get it. They will.
So, two questions for you. One's for me, and then one I'm going to bring in from the chat. As I'm listening to you talk right now, casting, it sounds like it plays a much bigger role than I realized. When it comes to fly fishing, is casting doing the 80% part out of the 80-20? Because in casting, that's where you're getting the fly to get into the river, and then the river takes it.
And it took me a long time to learn. I would say a long time. It took me a year. It took me 10 times going on the river to learn how to cast. So only 10 times. That's really not that much. But casting is 70% of it. When you learn how to cast, and so again, I kind of feel like shafting people who live on big rivers because I'm going to small rivers. So yes. I'm not going. Some people can cast. My buddy Kyle can cast 50 feet upriver, and I'm just with my 6 foot. I also have a 9 foot rod now. Yeah. But with my little 6 foot rod, I can cast 30 feet upriver. That's it. 20 feet. But
yeah, but still, I'm thinking the aim that
the aim is more important than the distance.
Well, and yeah, I'm just saying it sounds like a physical feat to me to be able to cast.
It took me a year. And by a year, I mean there were 6 months where I didn't fish. So it took me 6 months, which I don't feel like I'm an exceptional fisherman, but it took me going out every weekend, which is what I did. Mm-hmm. Going out every weekend, you'll learn how to put the line, put the fly exactly where you want it to. And even then, if a wind strikes up or if I screw up one movement and it goes to the right and it hooks a log or it hooks a rock.
Yeah.
Or it doesn't land where I want it to because the wind, or I just goofed. Like, my wife showed me this week. I've seen this movie many times when I was growing up, but the Goofy movie.
I was going to reference The Perfect Cast earlier, and then I was like, no, that's beneath him, so I won't do it.
He showed me like 3 days ago the YouTube video of just the Perfect Cast, and he does some 360, and then he hooks the stake. Like you don't want to do any 360s. But like at first I was like, oh yeah, that's actually pretty. Oh, you just 360. Oh, he hooked this. Okay, yeah, all right. It's a cartoon.
Right.
But yeah, you'll just learn, and it took me, and part of it is when you cast. This was very tough before I learned from Rainbow Van Halen to buy. I bought this from Rainbow Van Halen.
Yes.
Not from him, but because he told me to.
Yes.
He said, stop buying leader lines.
Okay.
And then just cutting the leader lines every time you lose a fly.
Yes.
He's like, put a leader line on, and then take as much as you want from, I forget what he called this, from this line, which is also leader line, and do a surgeon's knot onto your leader line, and then tie a fly on that.
Yes.
And then you'll never have to replace your leader lines ever again. And I was like, oh man, I've bought like 15 this year alone.
Yes.
Because I just keep cutting. And then you get to flies where the hook is so thin, these are tapered. So the closer you get, you can't even fit the line through the hook. And I'm like, I am doing this wrong. And yeah, I was doing it wrong.
Yeah.
I was doing it wrong. You cut a good amount, like this much on, and then you do a surgeon's knot onto your leader line. And then you never have to buy a leader line again. You can use the same leader line for a year or 2 or 3 years or whatever. And you just keep using, I forget. I wish I knew the name of this stuff, but yeah, I mean, so that is the first lesson of fly fishing is learn where the fish are.
Okay.
Yeah, let's hear.
Well, so it leads into a question which Midwit's coming in with a bit of a black pill. He says, I hear once you've figured a river out, all of the charm is lost. It's like a math problem that's been solved.
No.
Okay.
Because, yeah, you figure out the river. That's the number one thing. They call it read a river. And by the way, I've only been doing this for like a year. So I'm not an expert, but I am obsessed with it, and I am catching larger and larger fish every time I go. So You learn to read the river. The second challenge is, what are they eating? What are they eating? You can, and you will if you fly fish. That's why this part was so important, because I would go out on the river with my leader line and just be cutting and putting a new fly on, and no bites. Cutting, putting a new fly on, no bites. Over until I had to, all right, new leader line. But now that I have this, I don't ever need to replace the leader line. I can just do a surgeon knot, and I have infinite number of lines right there.
Yes.
The second biggest challenge is, what are the fish eating? What are they eating? What do they want? And what kind of fly do you tie? Do you tie a floater? Do you tie an egg? Do you tie a worm? When I fished with Rambo in the Cimarron River of northern New Mexico, they were catching worms. And the Department of Natural Resources of New Mexico every Wednesday puts out an email that says every river and every lake in the entire state. They say what the fish are biting, which is a great resource. Doesn't always work all the time. They keep saying the Pecos River, they're eating eggs, which they are sometimes. I mean, like this is like a little egg. They're eating the eggs sometime, but most of the time they're eating elk hair caddis. Like they're eating this guy who floats on the top. The egg sinks. These guys float. And also, this is another trick that Rambo taught me. He told me, go to an archery store. He's like, actually, they sell this at most fly fishing stores, and the fly fishing store here in Albuquerque did sell it. Go to a fly fishing store and buy a bottle with powder, and you kind of like dip the fly in there and you shake it up. Actually, Rambo, being typical Rambo, was like, you just jerk it off. You jerk off. You jerk it off, and then you like take out the fly. He's great. I love him. And then he's like, you shake it off, and then it will float for a long time.
Yes.
It'll just, because it has this powder on it, and it'll float for a long time. And he's like, and if you use a big fly and they're not taking it, switch to a little fly and do the same thing, let it float. And the last time I went fishing, 2 weeks ago, it was very cold. It was like 32 degrees outside. So I'm standing in the river in my waders, and I have Buffalo Woolco socks on, of course. Shout out to my sponsor. But I have these Buffalo socks on, and so my feet are warm, but my legs are getting pretty cold, but it's fine because the sun started to shine. And I was only 4 feet away. So that's what helps when you have a 6-foot rod. I just was like, basically just like planting it right there on the waterfall, and it floated through. And I watched this freaking trout follow, because the water was so clear. He was just like following it, and then he goes bloop, and so I yanked, but he was so fast. He was bloop, and he's like, this is fake, bloop, bloop. And he was like bloop, spit it out, which is another big problem with fly fishing.
So it can be that instantaneous.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So the second rule of the first rule of fly fishing is read the river. Second rule is use the right fly.
Yes.
Use a sinker, because some sink, and if you want to use a sinker, which you have to sometimes, just get a little indicator. Just get a little indicator, so it doesn't, because a lot of the problem with the river fly fishing is they get hooked. If a fly sinks to the bottom, they drag, and they get hooked on debris and rocks and all this garbage. But sometimes the fish are down low and they're looking, and they're like, oh, this egg especially is like floating. My necklace is broken, unfortunately. Anyways, so sometimes yeah, the freaking latch doesn't like close anymore. It's like always stuck open. Anyways, so sometimes the fish are on the bottom and they're looking for things on the bottom. So they grab things on the bottom. So you have to know, if they're not going for anything on the top, then you have to switch you have to reel it in, cut it off, put more line on, and then put a sinker on.
Don't cut the leader.
Don't cut the leader. Yeah. Just tie more surgeon knot on with the other line, and then put an indicator on, and and that's kind of part of the fun.
Yes.
It's not only is it, I need to know where in the river I have to fish, but now, and this was not fun, by the way, for the first 10 times I fished.
Okay.
This part was not fun. Right. Neither part was fun. I just assumed I could throw a fly on the river and something will catch it.
Because that's what happened in Wisconsin.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Okay.
That was what happened. And then what ruined me is, well, actually, that little fish, that was a brown trout. It was a native brown trout. It was about this big,
Yes.
That picture with the hat. My buddy, we fished all day. We got there like 9 a.m. I caught that fish like 3 p.m. And only because my buddy told me what fly to use.
Okay.
It wasn't because I was doing something, I wasn't casting right. It was only because we were using the wrong fly, both of us. So he was like, oh, I caught him with a black ant. So he used a black ant because ants fall in the river, and sometimes, some parts of the year, fish just want to eat ants. And so he like put a black ant on, and I happened to have a black ant, and he just fished, caught it immediately. He's like, hold on. So he caught it, took a picture, showed me, and I was like, about the same size. He was like, all right, change your fly to this. And I was like, I'm not good at changing flies. He was like, I will. He tied my fly for me because I was so new still.
Right.
He put my black ant on and then caught the fish almost immediately. Well, like the third or fourth cast.
You ever think of that concept? What a weird concept. Ants fall into the river.
Yeah, especially when there are trees.
It's got yeah.
So if you go
it's got to
to
be.
Mhm.
But I'm thinking it's got to be either like the wind, or they accidentally pick up too much sap on their legs or something, like throws off their balance and they fall in.
It's the wind. And
Yeah.
so if it's a wind, and that was a windy day, it wasn't windy in the morning, but it started to pick up with wind.
Okay.
So the fish know because they're just sitting there and they can see the differences on the surface. And so, we think of fish as like goldfish. They're like kind of retarded. They can't think 15 seconds before or whatever. That's not true. That's not true. And so it started to get windy, and my buddy tied a black fly on, or a black ant on, and he cast, and he was like, do you have a black ant? And I was like, yeah, I do. I just bought it like last week, and I just started fly fishing. And so he just like put it on. He tied it for me, and I caught it like almost immediately. Like, he was a little guy, but like even this little young fish knew that the wind put black ants in the water. And so I caught him.
I think my first buck might have been a 6 point.
I haven't heard of that fish.
You might right. But I'm just saying, it's like, yeah, you start, and that's probably the buck I will always be proudest of, because it was the first deer I ever took. So
that's incredible,
right?
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Yeah, so it was. It's been a journey, quite literally, and I've enjoyed every bit of the journey, because the journey involves being in the mountains on a river.
Yeah, this is unbelievable.
That is the Conejos River in the San Juan Mountains. Yeah. Yeah, if you can just scroll through it pretty much. Now that's also the Conejos. That's also the Conejos.
Dude, those mountains.
That's the San Juan. That's my favorite mountain range in the country.
Yeah.
It is absolutely beautiful.
That's a looker.
That's a rainbow on the Pecos. So that all those previous pictures on the Conejos. Last year, 2024, my wife and I and our son went out to and my in-laws, and my brother-in-law and his wife, they drove from Nashville, actually. And so we all met up in the San Juans, and we spent Labor Day weekend. And I spent the entire weekend on the river, didn't catch anything. It's fine. So this year, I went back, because I didn't know what I was doing a year ago. I knew what I was doing this. So I went back to the Conejos, and it was just my in-laws and my wife and my son and I now. And I went back to the Conejos River. And I went Friday by myself up there with my dog. And we fished Friday night and Saturday morning. I didn't catch shit. my wife and my son and my in-laws show up Saturday. I met them at the RV park, and then I fished until Sunday afternoon. I didn't catch a single fish the entire time.
Yes.
The entire time. Luckily, by Saturday, I was very frustrated, and I started talking to every fisherman I saw, and they were all like, "Haven't caught a single thing." Nope.
Well,
Turned out the river was too warm and too low, so
yes,
it was just nothing. And
you know, when somebody who's been doing it longer has more experience, and they're just as frustrated as you, it's a good feeling.
I talked to a 70-year-old who, as he was crossing the river to go to a different spot, like just up river, I asked him as he was crossing, like, "Hey, like, how's it been going this weekend?" And he's like, "I ain't got shit." He was so frustrated. Yes. I've done this every year for 20. He was like. And then I was fishing, and he was over there, and I just heard him just talking to himself in that same like reeling it in and being like, "Oh," and he cutting and adding more and cutting, and he's like, "Ah." And the problem was, I understood his frustration because on Saturday of Labor Day weekend this year, it was like the water it was kind of cloudy before, which kind of probably caused some, but it got really clear, and there was a fish in the middle of the river. And this river, the Cunning Hills, this was at the RV park. So the river, it was a little bit down, almost towards the San Luis Valley. We're getting towards, and so we're a little bit up. River's kind of wide, and there's a big rock in the middle. And there are these two trouts. They're probably this big, and they're just sitting in the river. I threw 20 feet in front of them and let it go over their heads 10 times. Reeled in, changed flies. 10 times. Reeled in, changed flies. 10. All right, we're going to sink it. We're going to do a sinker. I did ants, flies, nymphs, every single thing that sinks. So it would go, literally, they would move out of the way. I threw it perfectly 20 feet in front of them, and it under the water was down there, and they were like, "Nah." Yes. And they would let it go, and I was like, "Oh my gosh." So then I would like, "All right, what's another sinker? What else do I have?" And it was like 3 hours, and my wife finally was like, "Why don't you come hang out with the family for a little bit?"
I don't think they're biting.
And I was like, "Oh, they're gonna get something. They're gonna get something. They're gonna get something."
Yeah.
They didn't.
Well, it does. It almost seems like, we use it too much, but it does almost seem like that autistic, there's something that's going to make them move. And I'm going to find it.
So I say this all the time in the group chats, especially the Jay Burden group chat. I don't think I am not autistic at all.
Right.
But when it comes to fishing, if I see a fish there, or if a fish ever takes the bait and spits it out,
yes,
I'm there for the next 2 hours, because I saw you. Yes. You. You're hungry. You're gonna get what I want. And I told my wife this. I told my friend, my vice president this. I told everyone who's ever fished with me. I'm like, they're like, "You want to move up river?" And I'm like, "No, you go. This guy's here, and I'm gonna get him."
Yes.
Much to my detriment, I probably would have caught more fish in my life if I'd have just gone up river.
He just moved on.
But I'm like, I'm getting this guy. I know he's there. If the river, sometimes the river ain't clear, but if it's clear, I can see him like whoop out of a rock and be like, "No," and go back. And I'm like, "You're hungry. I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you." Stand there for an hour. Now, granted, I am doing that less now. I am getting better.
Okay.
Because again, I'm not autistic, so I can move on. I can be like, okay, and part of it is Rainbow Van Halen told me, he's like, "Hey, if you ever spook a fish, or if you ever don't get one, just go upriver, because they're gonna sit there for like 10 minutes before they try again. And I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Such a crazy thought.
Because I've spent hours, and now granted, I've spent hours trying to catch a fish.
Okay.
And I do catch that fish.
Yes.
I have only like twice ever not catch the fish. I knew he was there.
Yes.
But I've wasted 2 hours in the same spot. Standing in the same spot. What a waste of time.
Tenacity counts for something.
Yeah. But I'm changing my mind about maybe I don't need to sit in the same spot for 2 hours.
Okay.
Maybe I can be a better fisherman.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, hey, I don't want to capitalize on your time. So it's totally up to you. If you've got more stories, I'm down. But at the same time,
I'm about out of stories.
Okay.
If you want to just scroll through the pictures,
yeah,
maybe something
will finish these up.
Maybe something will pop up. That's the Pecos River.
Okay.
My OGC fella, we went on a group OGC camp out at the Pecos River.
That's awesome.
My buddy was reading Storm of Steel in German.
Oh. Now, first printing or
I assume later.
Right. It was one of the cleaned up ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was a bunch of us. Actually, the president of the Idaho chapter.
Yes.
Was my first subscriber to my podcast. A paid subscriber.
All right. Okay, yeah. That is a distinction.
And this was in 2023. He was the first paid subscriber.
Okay.
So we started talking, and then he subscribed, and then he started following me on social media, and he was like, I thought you were just like a history podcaster, but you're one of our guys, it turns out. And I was like, yeah. And now he's the president of the Idaho chapter of the OGC.
It's a happy coincidence.
Which is I think it might be the newest chapter of the OGC.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
But he came to this camp out, and one of my guys took that picture. Rambo Van Halen took this picture of him. Again.
Okay.
He took that picture of me. That was the Cimarron River in northern New Mexico. After these couple of pictures, I'll tell a great story about this. I caught 2 fish there. It was great.
Yes.
But we only hung out. We hung out for like 5 hours, which is pretty awesome. We had lunch in Cimarron, a green chili cheeseburger, both of us. It was great. Onion rings or whatever. We went to the river, and he taught me how to roll cast, which I had no idea how to do. He was like, show me your roll cast. And I was like, what?
Huh?
And he was like, okay, good. So he took my rod, and he was like, this is kind of a shitty rod. And I was like,
yes.
Yeah,
right?
I bought a gas station at Lake Isabella. And he's like, oh, I like Lake Isabella. Yeah, because he's from California. He grew up in California.
Yes.
He's a Hollywood guy. The book is Hollywood, same as that. And he taught me how to roll cast. Because roll cast, my problem before he taught me that was I would cast and get stuck in a tree behind me.
Yes.
A roll cast takes the line and flips it over so it doesn't go behind you. It just goes up and to right where you want it.
Almost like a whip.
Yeah, exactly like a whip. Yeah. So you throw up river and you let it flow down, and then once it flows down, you get it behind you a little bit, and then you just whip it, and it just lands exactly where you threw it before. Whereas before, I'd have done all these goofy moves, and then done that, and it would have got stuck behind me, or it would have landed where I wanted to. but half the time it would get stuck behind me. So then I just learned like the roll cast.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm wearing my cool book bag, my really cool waders, which smell good and are awesome looking.
Yeah. Well, I heard this made the centerfold for the latest LL Bean. So.
Oh yeah, that's a yeah. You could just keep going.
Okay.
That's me being super cool. That was the fish I caught after he left.
Okay.
A rainbow.
So is that a worm?
That is a fake worm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It didn't even occur to me.
So I have like a whole bunch of fake worms. And by the way,
you said that earlier.
They're not eating them anymore. They're done.
Okay. Yeah.
It depends on the time of year. And that was the time of year for worms. That was a month and a half ago. Not even that long ago. I tried the worms 2 weekends ago, and they just weren't eating them. They were eating the eggs, though. They were eating the eggs.
That's wild. Okay.
Yeah. One of my OGC guys took that. That was our camp out. That's the Pecos River. That's just me looking cool. That's my
dude. What?
There's a hole where I'm throwing. There's a giant boulder, and behind that boulder is a not very. So the river goes around the boulder, and so there's like a little pool where they don't have to fight, and you just throw in there, and you throw above it, on the very far right of that picture, you throw on that part, and it flows between those rocks, and then it goes down, and they look. You can, if the water's clear, you can just watch it. They're like, oh. And sometimes they'll be like, "Oh, I'm getting it," and they'll get it. So I don't know how people fly fish when you can't see the water. What was that?
I said Van Halen just followed me.
Oh, did he really?
Yes.
Like just now, or?
Yeah, like just now.
Yeah. Good. Hopefully he's listening.
Yeah. Very good.
That's a little guy. That's the Pecos.
So what are these dotted ones? Or speckled or what?
That's a brook. That's a brook trout. The last one was a rainbow trout.
Yes.
That's a brook trout as well.
Okay.
That's one of them. That was 2 weekends ago. That was I went on a part of the river. There's a campground and all this stuff, and it's closed off. So that's a rainbow.
Yes.
Same area. It's the Mora Creek, which flows into the Pecos.
I don't know if it's perspective or not, but that looks like a good fish. Yeah.
That was probably the biggest fish I ever caught. The problem was the hook was stuck in the net, so I tried to get a picture as quick as I could because I had to get him back in the water. Because your hands are hot, and they're in this cold water, so you don't want to hurt them because you'll hurt them. I have in the Cimarron River, I caught a fish, and the hook got caught, and his lip got caught in the net. In that, I have to get rid of that stupid net, but that net was $18. Most fly fisher nets are $150. And I was like, I'm not paying, that's stupid. I'm not paying that.
Right.
And then I took this cheap net out, and the hook gets caught in the net. And so now I have to deal with a fish that is hooked by the hook and the net. And so I'm gonna buy an expensive net because the expensive nets are like nylon or thick, so the hook doesn't get stuck in the mesh.
Yes.
So I let go the bigger fish I caught in the Cimarron, and he goes. I was like, oh no! So I picked him back up, and I kept him underwater, by me, with my warm hands. And I'm like, don't die. And
Yes.
he eventually like slowly was like, and then he was like, I'm out. And I was like,
Okay.
Whew. Whew. Because you hate to catch a fish and then release him, and he's like, I'm gonna go die.
Yes.
Because your hands are warm, and if they get stuck in the net, you have to fidget with all that garbage. Yeah.
Oh,
that's another beautiful rainbow. That's a beautiful little brook rainbow.
I think we've done these, but I had
to
click on something real quick.
Yeah. I think we're about done. Yeah. If Rambo's listening, thank you, brother.
Actually, I think that was the last one.
Yeah, that was the last one. Yeah.
Oh, good. What are you guys going to talk about? Hollywood? You going to talk about
Hollywood, the West, and fly fishing is my goal.
Yeah.
I haven't told him this, but yeah, that's the goal.
Very good.
And I kind of want to plumb his brain on Westerns as well. Because
Westerns
my show is the American Southwest, so I gotta bring it into something. But fly fishing, Hollywood, and Western movies.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. Yeah, Western books or Western movies.
Yeah, perfect. Movies. Yeah. He was a producer, in the biz for a while. But yeah, and he has a wild story as well. So, it's kind of like how we talked tonight. We had a theme.
Yes,
but we went everywhere. So it don't matter.
No,
I'm a much better guest than I am a host, unfortunately. I am.
You know? Yeah. Well, no. I was thinking. I don't know. I wouldn't be so hard on yourself.
Yeah, it's tough being a host. I think. I mean, I can talk.
I don't know.
To the void forever, and I do. I got hundreds of hours talking into the void, but when I have to like host someone, now I'm in charge. I can be in charge of people in real life, but all of a sudden online, you're like, oh, how do I do this? I think my episodes have been okay with talking to people, but
I bet so.
I've interviewed some authors, Andy Edwards and George.
I was going to say I need to go back and listen to the Edwards one. For sure.
Yeah.
Well, this is actually we're sort of beating around it right now. This is a perfect time. Do some shilling, get some people excited about what it is, because you do a lot.
Yeah, if you're in the Albuquerque area, join the Elks Lodge, join the OGC. But I have a history podcast. It's called The American Southwest. You can imagine what that entails. And yeah, that's about it. Yeah. I have a website called theamericans.southwest.com.
Yes. So the American Southwest for sure is linked in the description. Your YouTube channel is linked in the description, as well as Thomas's X account. So you can find all the information in there. And then, just go hit up those areas, see what he gets into, and learn more about the American Southwest if that's your jam. All right. Well, very good. Hey, this was great. I greatly appreciate it. Next week, I'm going to have another, but different, Riley on. And we're going to be talking. Same spelling, but he's a Midwestern fella. He's one of those rare German OGC guys. Actually, now that I say that, I might have put my foot in my mouth, because he might not be German. That'll be interesting. Yeah, that'll be interesting to talk about, because if you're in the Midwest and you're not German, and particularly if you're English, you're kind of a funny guy.
My wife, her father is from Wisconsin. Her last name is McCulloch. The McCullochs, the same clan from McCulloch, Wisconsin for 200 years.
There's a story there.
200 might not be the correct number of years, but a long time. They've been there for a long time. McCulloch.
There's a story there.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. This was awesome. And
yes.
Thank you.
All right, guys. We will see you later. Have a good evening.